Hi, it's Matt here with this week's external monitoring from Murphy Solution. And this week, we're looking at something related to crisis communication. Oxford University Press, the publisher of the Oxford Dictionary, has revealed its word of the year for 2025, rage bait. So we're going to take a look at what that is, the implications it has on communication, and what we might be able to do to overcome some of the challenges it poses. So, part one, what is it, and why has outrage become a business model? Well, rage bait is defined as online content deliberately designed to elicit anger or outrage by being frustrating, provocative, or offensive, typically posted in order to increase traffic to or engagement with a particular web page or social media content. Now, its creation was some time ago, but it's recently surged, and its usage is indicative of the manipulation tactics that many either sadly take part in or are drawn into, both in person or online. It's an escalation from clickbait, the headlines and comments that spark our curiosity and get us to click, to ones where there's a direct emotional influence or provocation. And it signals a deeper shift in how we talk about attention, engagement, and the ethics of those things. As social media algorithms began to reward more provocative content, this has developed into rage farming. The same baiting done to manipulate reactions and build engagement over time by seeding content that evokes anger, discord, and polarization, particularly in the form of misinformation or conspiracy theory-based material. It's not, however, solely confined to online social media interactions. It's a proven tactic to drive engagement, commonly seen in performance or populist politics, and increasingly embraced by traditional media outlets and even organizations. The recent fake apology letter trend is a case in point. But the words selected by various dictionary publishers don't just define the trends, they reveal how digital platforms are reshaping our thinking and behavior and offer us the chance to reflect on what it means to be a human in a technology-driven world. For crisis communicators, it matters because there's a shared word for a trending phenomenon that systematically distorts public perceptions, especially when people may already be experiencing heightened emotions like fear or grief. Part two then, what are the implications and for who? Well, for organizations managing a crisis, it means that calm, factual updates might get drowned out by provocative responses or counter content. Crisis narratives can be hijacked by people who benefit from the outrage, and emotional responses can amplify actions from rage farmers. Staff may even need protection from harassment triggered by rage bait. For individuals or the public, we have outrage fatigue. We see it so often, we become more angrier, more polarized, less thoughtful, and less tolerant. Anger reduces critical thinking, making misinformation more believable, and people may respond to things through heightened emotions rather than rationale based on facts. For media outlets, traditional media certainly struggles to resist this sort of sensational framing, and digital creators rely heavily on rage bait almost as a growth strategy. Crises can become content farms, not opportunities for responsible or ethical reporting. And for governments or political actors, well, some of these already use rage bait tactics deliberately, weaponizing outrage around crises in public health, disasters, and protests. But it raises expectations for government communications to remain neutral, factual, and non-performative. Finally, and generally, across these communicators and audiences, mis- and disinformation exploits rage bait. False or distorted stories wrapped in moral outrage spread quickly. Half-truths, exaggeration, and emotional hooks bypass reason. And bots and coordinated accounts amplify the illusion that everyone is furious. AI can also mass-produce tailored outrage content rapidly. Part three then, what can we do about it? Well, there are two things here. And the first is to know when we're being rage baited, especially by an AI, by recognizing content that is designed to provoke emotion first and inform second. It might use villainization, sensationalism, and zero-sum framing, like if you don't agree, then you're part of the problem. It might have obscure or hidden sources, but strong calls to react, reply, or share immediately. And it might be repetitive or perfectly targeted, and that could signal AI involvement. The second thing we can do is engage in rage-resistant conversation habits. Naming the pattern, ooh, this looks a bit like rage bait, diffuses its effects, and even better now it's a recognized term. We can also slow down our habits, take a pause, look for evidence, not react on emotional triggers. Seeking long-form, moderated or offline channels to stay informed on sensitive issues can also help us here. And we should encourage curiosity, question asking, good faith restating, and transparency. Crisis teams should also be thinking about pre-bunking rather than debunk after it's happened, common manipulative frames, and communicate openly about the level of uncertainty they're experiencing. And I'll leave you with a thought for the rest of the week. In the 1950s, Alan Turing, the mathematician and computer scientist who helped break the German Enigma machine during World War II, designed the Turing test, a way to evaluate whether a machine can exhibit intelligent behavior, indistinguishable from that of a human. The purpose of the test was to determine whether machines could think. And a well-documented historical case of a machine passing the Turing test, as early as the late 1980s, was the creation of a modified chatbot called mGons. And this example has a strong connection to the concept and topic of rage baiting. During conversation, the chatbot was aggressive and insulting, and a stranger chatted with it for 90 minutes, increasingly furious, but assuming it was just a very obnoxious human on the other end. The argument was that the chatbot passed the test because the human never suspected that it was a machine. And while still a famous idea in AI history, the Turing test is no longer considered a definitive measure of machine intelligence, and there are more sophisticated models that can pass this test without exhibiting aggression. So as much as the Turing test was developed as a test of machine intelligence, it's also a test of a human's ability to think critically. If our anger is high, we stop checking for consistency, checking our memory or our deeper understanding, and just react. So it wasn't that mGons passed the Turing test, it was that the human on the other end spectacularly failed it. So if content makes you angry, stop reflecting and just react, you're automatically treating the author of that content as socially real, regardless of whether they're a human, a bot, or a troll farm. That's it for today's external monitoring. See you next time.